Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinityWholeHealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson. How many of you out there are actually using some sort of protein powder to help lose weight? Well, there may be some little dark secrets that the weight loss industry doesn't want you to know. Now, here's the problem I see most with protein. Protein powders tend to be denatured protein. Now, the question remains, hey, how would I know if my protein powder is denatured? It likely is causing you gut irritation and in the form of bloating. Your gas probably does not smell very good. And it may actually be an allergic reaction that there may be skin problems and other things associated with it of an allergy type of situation. You may notice sinus problems and the like. So this is a bit of a conundrum because this is the dirty little secret that the health industry doesn't necessarily want you to find out about. And that is that almost all protein powders out there are denatured. Why? Because they want to dry the protein as fast as possible. And heat does an amazing job at doing that. But these proteins are heat liable, meaning the amino acids that you're getting. So proteins are made up of a bunch of amino acids, some quite enormous. If you've ever had a blood test and you've seen on there that there's this level of albumin, well, albumin is an incredibly large protein. It's like over 400 amino acids. I think it's like 460. And so this is all a bunch of amino acids hooked together to form this massive protein that literally sits at times in the cell wall to let in or not let in certain molecules or nutrients into the cells of our body. So that's just one type of protein, albumin. But when we go after whey protein from milk, they simply want to make money. So they want to stabilize the protein faster by drying it as quickly as they can. But in the drying process, they often destroy these tender or delicate proteins or amino acids. And now there's, it's all warped. It's basically like saying, okay, if you have a hairdryer that you need 1500 watts and I tell you, well, we could dry that hair a lot faster at 10,000 watts. And of course, all your hair gets all crinkly and then falls apart because I basically just burned your hair. That's kind of how protein does it, or rather it works when it's denatured. And when it's denatured, we really can't use much of it, and now it creates an allergy type of situation in the body. So I might get more skin issues, acne, dry skin, what have you. I might get bloating, heartburn, gas. It's not pleasant. And now it can actually make you sick because these denatured proteins become carcinogenic in nature. So anything that is burned, if you like your meat well done, I'm sorry to say, you're actually creating carcinogens because it's overdone. So any food that is overcooked too fast, these make carcinogens. That's why when we cook an egg, I've recommended in the past that you cook them relatively slow. Do not make them snap and pop on a pan. And cook them with butter. Bring up the heat slowly. Yes, they can fry a little bit, but be gentle with them. These are delicate proteins. If you want them to be alive in the body and make sure that you have these wonderful amino acids to do so many things in the human body, great. What's one thing that proteins do? How many people have thyroid problems out there? Many. Well, T3 and T4 is a couple of tyrosine amino acids with iodine hooked to them. So T3 is 3 iodine atoms hooked to this molecule, and it's called triiodothreonine. Now, thyroxine that most people are on if they're on some type of thyroid medication is T4. And T4 has 4 iodine molecules, or rather, atoms hooked to this complex of these amino acids, tyrosine. So tyrosine itself is not an essential amino acid. It's made from an essential amino acid. So in our body, we do need these proteins and amino acids, and there are 8 of them that we cannot manufacture. They're called essential amino acids. And so when we do denatured whey or denatured protein powders, we don't get these proteins, or rather these amino acids. So phenylalanine is the amino acid that is now converted in the body to tyrosine. So what is phenylalanine? Well, again, it's simply a amino acid, but it is an essential amino acid, and it comes from mostly meat sources. The only vegetable source that I've read is soy. So as we do phenylalanine from good, eggs, meat, chicken, fish, as we do them from an animal source, we now take that phenylalanine and now we can convert it to tyrosine and make T3 and T4. That's how it works. So that's just one example of proteins. Now, other hormones might be fat soluble or water soluble. Some are protein soluble, so to speak, and that would be the thyroid. And so these are a special type of hormones, or rather different from others, and this is yet one need of protein. So if we're eating denatured protein, could we expect thyroid trouble possibly? We could. That is a real possibility. So when I do protein powders, I'm very, very picky about what companies I go with. And my company that I do go with does not do denatured protein. And what's fascinating is people say, hey, I'm allergic to whey protein. I say, you know what? I want you to try this. It is whey, but let's just make sure. What do you get as problems? And if they tell me bloating, I'm going to be suspicious that their digestive system is really quite bad, and that they possibly have a lot of inflammation in their gut, which won't be helped by the denatured protein. But it could be they have a legitimate whey protein allergy. I've seen it. It's not, completely unheard of, but I'm still going to want to make sure that their digestive system is actually working well. So unfortunately, most of these companies that are selling these protein powders want to make a lot of money. And so they're going to shortcut, and they're often going to shortcut in the drying process. Or they're going to buy it from another company that sells their protein really cheap, and they didn't ask any good questions like, how much are you heating this before you sold it to me? And of course, they don't want to know. They just want to make lots of money. So I apologize for them, but there are good sources of protein powders out there. They're just few and far between. So until next time, I'm Dr. Troy, and remember, there is way more right with you than wrong.
Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach Dr. Munson at 360-893-8586 or email him at chiroman@dr.com. That's chiroman@dr.com. Check out our current workshop schedule on Facebook at Infinity Whole Health.
The information on Dr. Troy Munson's podcast is meant to educate the listener and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease.